Greetings, families. How
Hello.
are you? How
Hi.
are you? So this morning, Heidi texted me that she had an idea of what we could maybe offer some value was about how to manage your state when things are going awry, when things are not going as planned. And one of the first most valuable things is if we first remember what state is, right? Focus, language, and physiology. So one of the things you could remember is the very first thing is our bodies. Like just take a minute and notice, how is your body feeling? And is there something you can do in that moment to change your physiology? Like, as crazy as it sounds, if you were to just like jump up and down for a minute or do a couple of push-ups or something like that, believe it or not, that moment of just radically changing how your body is holding is going to take you out of that trance. Because if you think about it, and we'll get into this a little further, in order for you to get really upset about what someone is doing, even though it's sort of happening, it may not be happening right in front of you. You're making a picture, you're writing a story, you're telling a story, and you're actually hypnotizing yourself. You become entranced. Mm-hmm. It's a trance that we run, mm-hmm. and we start doing it. So when you interrupt that, you get that brief respite to go, okay, wait a minute, hold on, what do I need right
and like
here?
The story, what you're saying is really important, because the story that people tell is like, that's how the anxiety exacerbates.
Right.
So like somebody has relapsed, and then you have a state over somebody relapsing,
and then you start telling
there's
the
nothing
story.
You could do. Then you attach to the story. So the first thought that we have when somebody's relapsed or somebody's out of control or they're doing something out of our control, we start to then just roll with that. Oh my God, if this happens, that's what that means. And if this happens, that's what that means. And you
just stack it one on top of the other.
Right.
Yeah. And you start playing multiple movies at the same time. And then it becomes a drama.
So interrupt that
part in that
by
state.
Jumping up and down. We had somebody teach this the other day, mm-hmm. who has been out of treatment for 5 years, came back and spoke to the treatment center here at Palm and said, you know what, he got some really devastating news, and it's devastating news that in the past would have taken him out of the game. But immediately upon hearing that news, what he shared with the community here is that he actually did a bunch of jumping jacks right away. And not because he felt like doing jumping jacks. Of course, he got terrible, disturbing news. But what he knew he had to do was change his state like that. And that really helped him immensely. So then after he changed his state, he could come back in and start to like settle into now what to do.
Right.
So what are some other ways people can change their state?
So in that moment, after he was able to do that, right, then what are the other two pieces of state is focus and language. Instead of in that moment focusing on the worst possible outcome ever, you could focus on yourself in that moment and say, okay, what do I need to do for myself right now? Because I can't change what's going on.
That's a game changer right there.
Yeah, because
I think if they ask themselves that one question in that moment and say, because what you're saying is, actually take the focus off of them and put it on you in the moment. Instead of telling a story about what you think is going to happen to them. Oh, they didn't do this or they didn't do that, and now this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Say, what do I need to do for self-care? What's my self-care strategy in this exact moment?
Right. And
then, that could vary, that could be wide and varied for what feels good for you to do in the moment.
Right. But the way you change your focus is through your language. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes, again, your focus is going to be driven by your language. Is the first thing. If you're feeling anxiety, or you're feeling stress, if you're feeling pain, there's a part of you that's making it about you. So some of the questions you might notice you're asking, you may want to shift and go, okay.
How could they do this to me?
Which is, you're going to have some answers that are not going to make you feel very good. And the truth is they didn't.
They didn't do it to you. Nobody does addiction to you.
Not
Just
at
like
all.
when somebody has cancer, and if their cancer came back in remission, you would say, shit, how could you do this to me?
Right. So in that moment,
Alzheimer's.
What are some powerful questions you could ask? You could ask at that moment,
what can we do to move forward? Or what's next? What would be the most useful thing?
Who do I need to call right now? What action steps can I take to get further down whatever your health is going to be?
What you're saying right now is so crucial. So I think that is one of the biggest distinctions that we can make when somebody is not doing what you want them to do, and it goes as far as a relapse. The minute you switch from how could they do this to me to What's next? How can I help? It's a game changer, because you go from catastrophe thinking, how could they do this to me, and all that,
And
that
personalizing
it to, let's get back on track. Let's get the help. So you get them the help and you offer it. You detach from whether or not they accept it. Of course, we always want you to be calling that number, that 855-PP alumni number. When you're worried about somebody, will help you utilize the team of people here that are in the alumni department that can help somebody that's struggling. That's what they're there for, right?
Yeah.
When they're doing well and when they're not doing well, for all of it. So you utilize that, and then you can do what Doug's saying to do after you say, okay, at least they're taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get somebody helping them. Now, what do I need to do for me in this moment? What is it that you're going to do to help you cope? Because it is stressful. It is.
And the way you could use this also, because we'd hate for you to only use this when it's a crisis situation.
Oh yeah. So let's go no crisis. Let's go what's something minor that somebody could be doing.
How about you just wake up, or you're driving down the road or whatever. No, it's about you. Let's just say you're not feeling good.
Let's go all us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like let's say, so you could apply this in any area. Let's not be codependent and worry about what other people are doing. Let's just for the moment imagine you're just not feeling, you're feeling little angry, maybe resentful, maybe depressed, maybe sad, maybe frustrated, maybe insecure, any of those non-resourceful states, those non-resourceful emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, remember, focus language and physiology. And one of the best questions you could ask is, what do I need to believe right now in order to feel this way? What is it that I'm believing about whatever is going on in order to feel this way? Is whatever is going on, is that really what's going on? Is that really what it means? Could it mean something else? Could there be something else going on?
I like that even with the couple situation. I know we're not supposed to be codependent on other people, but other people
that
would trigger us up more often than not. And that's a really good thing. Like if somebody's late and they're not on time and they're coming home and they're late, and you're getting used this example before in one of our other classes, but somebody's really upset because they're late, and you go up and make a meeting about it. Oh my goodness, they're not thinking about me. How dare them? They don't care.
They're just thinking about themselves.
Yeah, they're selfish. You do all this stuff, and then you get into a state because of your language and your focus, and your physiology is all tense, just kind of waiting for the fight when they get home.
Yep.
Or you could use Doug's question and say, well, what else could be going on here? What else could this mean? What do I need to believe to be feeling this way? I need to believe the worst about my partner right now. What if I just assumed the best about him? What if I just made that small shift and said, assume the best, and thought, well, if they're late, there must be a good reason.
So this is why it's important that we know what state we want to experience. So then I could say, what do I need to believe in order to feel the love? What do I need to focus on in order to feel that? I was just going to say, because what comes up for a lot of people, Doug, is trust. Mm-hmm. Because even if you're doing this kind, well, I want to assume the best about them. I could hear somebody saying that. Mm-hmm. I want to assume the best about them, but I don't trust them. They have a track record. We know the track. So now what? So the track record, so what? So you get to stay miserable. How's that working out? It's not working out. So at some point, you're going to have to make a decision to trust in the good, or trust in the potential for the good, or in the propensity for people to want to do good. So maybe we could end with a quick story. We could do another video on trust, too. Yeah. We could do another video on how to build trust again. We'll do that. Okay. And we'll just leave with this story. So one day, there was this guy. Have you ever been to California? The Pacific Coast Highway is beautiful. Right? On the one side, you have the ocean and the cliffs and all that. On the other side, you got the redwood forests. So this guy's running along. He's running. And then he slips and he falls and he's dangling. He's hanging onto a vine for dear life. And you can hear the cars going by and all that. And then it's starting to slip. And he's screaming, help, help, help. Is there anybody up there? Please, please, is there anybody up there? And nothing's happening. He's just hearing those noises going on, and he's losing grip, and he screams again, please, please, is there anybody up there? And then nothing. It's like he's about to let go. He's at this last limb, and finally he's like, please, please, is there anybody up there? And then finally, a loud, bellowing voice, this is God. Trust and let go. And then he says, is there anybody else up there? See, the truth is, God doesn't throw the net until you jump. You're not going to experience the trust until you trust. So trusting is good. We'll do another video on that. That's a really good story. So state management for this particular video, get up, change your physiology, get up, get moving, Change your focus through the questions you're asking.
Change your focus to the questions you're asking, and your internal dialogue with yourself will follow. The language you use. And the other thing about language really quickly is we catastrophize things when we make them permanent or pervasive or exacerbated or hyperbole. And we say things like, you always do this, or this always happens. And the language around even the way you express something you're experiencing, like that old story of in the safari, when people were on safari and a lion was coming towards the car, and then one guy was like, oh my God, we're all gonna die. There's a lion coming. This is the worst catastrophe in the world. And another guy was like, well, this is inconvenient. Because your language, how you view things, like
you can experience it.
An addiction, when you put addiction on the table, we catastrophize because everything ends in death. Every little setback, it could be they're not home 10 minutes for dinner and you're like, they're going to die because they're going to die of addiction because they're not getting their shit together. And da, 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 da. So you have to really be careful of your story. In fact, leave a comment below. Do you attach to the story? And is that what's creating the anxiety that you need to manage the state for you? What is it for you that kind of sets you on a path? And then what are you going to do?
Or what have you been doing? If you've applied this successfully, what are some of your strategies that you've used? Because you can inspire others by going, oh, wow, what a great idea. That's cool. I could do that.
Perfect. All right. Well, we love you. We're going to do that trust thing because I think that's really, really important in another video. So let us know, too, if there's something else you want to see. All right.
Awesome.
Love you. Bye-bye.